carefully. Abraham says, if you can find me 10, if I can find, I want to spare he tries to fight for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Noah didn't try to fight for
Right.
anybody.
Right.
He was like, you're going to flood them, fine, that's good, that works. Abraham said, wait a minute, what if I can find, he starts off, he's bargaining, doesn't he?
Yeah, 50, and he
So
gets
50,
down to 10.
and he finally gets down to 10.
And then he doesn't go below 10, because if you can't get a minion, like, you need to have a certain core to salvage your community.
Right. He doesn't even get 10. But yet, God spares Lot.
Right.
Isn't that odd to you?
Was Abraham pleading for the righteous to be spared? Abraham was pleading for all of Sodom to be spared, even the wicked, if they could find a certain number of righteous. So Sodom's not spared, but Lot, because Lot's not a wholly bad guy. Lot does some good things, like gives hospitality to these angels. So Lot's a lot like Noah, like not particularly righteous, but not sodomites either.
Okay. But why did God let anybody be saved is my question. Because he could have just wiped it all out right there on the spot. You know, with an atom bomb. Boom.
Right.
Gone. Done. Right? But he let Lot be saved.
Yeah.
And his family.
Yeah.
Why?
Beats me. I don't know.
It's because Lot had shown...
Hospitality to the strangers.
But it was more than that. Just the fact that he did was... What did that show that he did that?
Did he still retain some decency?
That he had followed his Rebbe. Right?
Yeah.
He was learning from Abraham, right?
Yeah.
Abraham was his teacher.
Yeah.
When God sees that you follow your Rebbe,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter, right? The circumstances, whatever. You follow your Rebbe, right? You're okay.
Mm-hmm.
That alone was the reason that he was saved.
Sonny, I had this Orthodox rabbi friend who told me that I'd make it into the world to come because of the very respectful way that I'd always treated him. It's like I'd always try to help him out and always treat him very respectfully, and I'd done some kindnesses for him. He said that I'd make it into the world to come on his merit because I'd always tried to do good by him.
Right.
So that's kind of like what you...
Right. So there's a big thing like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get yourself a rabbi and you follow what he says, and that alone can save you from all the other crap you're involved with. You know, you might be involved in prostitution and gambling and stealing money, but you know what? You follow your rabbi at the same time. When you ask him a question, you follow it. You try to be like him, you're going to be okay.
So Abraham, I was impressed that Abraham incorporated Ishmael into his hospitality. So Abraham took teaching very seriously, teaching his children righteousness. So he brought Ishmael when he was preparing food for the three angels who came to visit him on hot day, and the game is over. It's 8-0, final. Texas over the Yankees.
There is a God in the world. Oh, now I have to go watch that stupid football game. Or are you just turning it off?
I'm just turning it off.
Okay.
So it's not enough to just preach your children, and it's not enough to just do good things with your children, but you have to both do and you have to explain what you're doing, which is kind of very similar to Judaism. It's not enough Judaism just to do the mitzvahs. You also have to understand what you're doing. You have to have some knowledge of the mitzvahs to be able to do the mitzvahs. So it's not enough just to do, and it's not enough just to study. You have to do both.
What about the good part? What about Lot and his daughters?
Yeah, so Lot has sex with his daughters.
So what's that about?
Well, the daughters thought that they were the end of humanity.
Why would they think that?
Because they looked around and they couldn't see anyone because they were hiding out in the cave in the outback.
In the outback?
And they just seemed like Sodom just destroyed.
With a big mushroom
everything
cloud.
They'd known was
There's a
being
big mushroom
destroyed.
cloud. There's nobody left. It's desolate and barren in every direction that you look. And you're thinking, you know what? We're the new Noah.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference is Lot's wife just took it.
Yeah.
Lot's wife just took it in the shorts.
Yeah.
Right? So he's got no one to bang now. Noah had his wife.
Yeah.
And he also had his kids were married.
Yeah.
So, they're all set. They've been preparing for this moment for 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
But Lot's got nobody. It's just him and his daughters. So
Right.
they're thinking, okay, you know what? We're going to have to be the people. Like, they don't have husbands, do they?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
It's just him and them.
Yeah.
So, like, mankind's going to end right there.
Right.
Unless they all do the deed.
Right.
So they got him drunk. He fell, and then they
lay with him and they got pregnant.
They got pregnant, and then God was not pleased with that.
Well, there's not much. There's no condemnation of the daughters in the Masorah. I mean, it's certainly that Lot's reputation in the community.
Oh.
The word got out.
There's absolutely tell me what pasuk it's on.
Well, okay, so we're talking Genesis chapter 19, verses 33 to 36, and
where's the Rashi on this? I've seen this before.
So the name Moab is means from father. So the elder was so shameless that she gave her son a name, clearly suggested his disgraceful parentage from father. The younger one, however, gave his son a name that means son of my people, thus modestly concealing his father. Lot's daughters were modest, righteous women whose actions were nobly motivated, this according to the Art Scroll. Thinking that the rest of the world had been destroyed, they felt it was their responsibility to save the human race by bearing children. The Torah does not label their actions as incestuous, because they sincerely thought there was no other way to ensure the propagation of the species. Because their intentions were pure, they merited that among their descendants would be Ruth and Naomi, queen of Solomon and the mother of Rehoboam, and the next link in the Davidic chain. Lot, however, was not comparable to his daughters. His intentions were not at all sincere. Even though he was intoxicated and unaware what he was doing the first night, he knew in the morning what had happened, but allowed himself to be intoxicated again, knowing full well what the result would be. Unlike his daughters, he knew from the angels that the upheaval was to affect only a limited group of cities, not the whole world.
You found it. That's what I was referring to. The difference between him and Noah was Noah was told that the whole world was going down. Lot was not told that, so it wasn't for him to assume that, oh, I'm the only guy left on the planet and mankind is going to be done if I don't bang my daughters. So it's not for him to paskin that. He has a halacha, right? The Torah says no incest. That's his law. Right? Is that, but there's nobody else around. That's his law. God never came to you and said that you're the only guy left on the planet. So what the hell is that about? That's your law. That's what you have to follow. And besides, doesn't he know that Abraham's still alive? So where does he get his havamina that he's the only guy left on the planet? So Lot is a bad guy. His daughters, right? The Torah gives them a break because they don't know anything. They don't know anything, right? But they're innocent, right? But Lot knows better. He learned Torah from Abraham, and this is not justified. And that's your answer on that.
So when Lot was trying to get his sons-in-law to come with him out of Sodom, they regarded him as a jester. The Art Scroll makes the point, mockery makes serious discussion impossible, because every attempt to prove one's point is turned aside with a contemptuous joke. As the sages have observed, one jest repulses 100 rebukes. So there's been a lot of mockery at times on
What do you
this
think
show.
about him banging his daughters, man? Is that hot?
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Do you know that there's a story that took place that's so weird, because this is the parsha this week, right?
Right.
Something happened last week that just came out on the news. I don't know if you were following it.
No.
You know the LA Kings, right? It's our hockey team here,
yeah.
professional hockey team.
Mm-hmm.
They had an assistant coach named Mark Hardy. Did you know about this story
No.
at all?
No.
He has a daughter who was just graduated Georgetown
Mm-hmm.
in the spring, and she was on the Georgetown volleyball team.
Uh-huh.
I looked her up on the internet. And she's kind of hot. Right?
Uh-huh.
Well, he's going to go right there for it, right? On the night after her